Hello GH fans, grab your snacks, silence your phone, and maybe lock your doors, because Port Charles is serving pure chaos right now. We've got a mayor being blackmailed with corpse photos, Sonny Corinthos backed into a corner over those same receipts, a drunken Britt Westbourne collapsing while Jason plays reluctant guardian angel, and a Drew Cain shooting mystery that just got a massive new suspect, courtesy of Selina Wu's shady little empire. And that's before we even talk about Michael possibly adding yet another baby to the Corinthos family tree thanks to Jacinda. This is the kind of stretch where everyone looks guilty, nobody is really innocent, and one sleazy power player, yes, Jenz Sidwell, has basically decided he's the main villain of Port Charles season whatever. He's got Laura on a leash, Sonny in his crosshairs, and Ace Cassadine casually dangled like a bargaining chip. Meanwhile, Curtis is confessing to a murder plot he almost carried out, Kai and Trina are quietly trying to solve a crime the PCPD can't touch, and over at Brown Dog Bar, Molly walks in just in time to see the man she likes kissing the woman he wanted to forget. You can't make this stuff up except the writers absolutely did. And while all that is happening, the Corinthos next generation is out here making life choices that scream future courtroom storyline. Michael might have a surprise baby on deck with Jacinda, which could blow up his already messy custody situation with Willow, Wiley, and Amelia. Then we've got whispers that Selina's perfect person for the job in the Drew Cain hit might actually be Brad Cooper, accidental assassin in training. If you felt a chill just thinking about Brad holding a gun he doesn't want to fire, you're not alone. So tonight, we're breaking it all down, the blackmail photos, the barroom heartbreak, the mayor under mob control, the maybe baby twist, and the possibility that one of Port Charles' most chaotic schemers was the one with his finger on the trigger. We're talking motives, lies, secret agendas, and where this wild story could go next. Let's dive into the mess, because if there's one thing General Hospital does well, it's turning everybody's worst decision into a full-blown saga. Let's start at Laura's place, because that's where the entire tone of Port Charles changes with one knock at the door. Laura opens it and finds Jenz Sidwell standing there, not with flowers, not with a peace offering, but with photos. Real, horrifying photos, Laura standing by her trunk with Dalton's body right there. She tries the modern spin, calling it AI, like some deepfake smear campaign, but Sidwell's not having it. He knows what he's holding, and he knows exactly how much damage it could do. Then he hits her with the double whammy, another picture of Sonny and Laura standing over Dalton's corpse. That's the moment when you see it, the shift from "we're in trouble" to "we are trapped." It's not just about Laura's career as mayor. It's her reputation, her legacy, and the fact that she's now vulnerable in a way she's never been before. Sidwell makes it crystal clear she'll be working for him. He even brings in Ezra Boyle as his intermediary, like he's hiring a project manager for his new Own the Mayor venture. And when he hears Ace crying on the baby monitor and casually reminds her that everyone has a price, he's telling Laura straight up, your price is your family. Meanwhile, across town, Sonny's playing host to the same devil. Sidwell strolls into Sonny's place like he owns the joint and drops the bomb. He's got enough to put both Sonny and the mayor away. He wants those peers, the ones he's been circling like a shark, and he's willing to use Laura's neck as the leverage. Sonny's used to being the guy doing the cornering, not the one being cornered, so watching him forced into a reactive position is a whole new flavor of tension. Laura later confides in Kevin, and you can feel how torn she is, the instinct to confess versus the reality that confessing doesn't just take her down, it drags Sonny and Ace into the fallout. Over at the Savoy, we get another angle on the Drew Cain situation. Curtis finally comes clean to Jordan about hiring Selina Wu to take Drew out, $1 million on the table, blood money he almost paid. The key word here is almost, because Curtis cancelled the wire transfer at Aurora before Selina could cash in. Jordan believes him, and their kiss tells you she still sees the decent man underneath the terrible choice. But the fact remains, Curtis wanted Drew dead in that moment. And that desire, that rage, is going to haunt him, whether the hit went through or not. Trina, meanwhile, is in pure emotional turmoil. At her apartment, she confides in Kai that she's terrified one of her parents, Curtis or Portia, might be behind Drew's shooting. It's such a raw, honest fear that the people who raised you could be capable of something unforgivable. Kai tries to ground her, pointing out that if they really did it, they wouldn't let Willow or anyone else take the fall. In the end, Trina agrees to work with him to find the real shooter. Quietly, methodically, this young duo is stepping into a storyline that could blow up the entire adult world around them. Now, let's head to Brown Dog Bar, where chaos is taking a more romantic, and very messy, form. Britt Westbourne is at the bar, very much alive after her fake demise, knocking back drinks and flirting with Cody Bell. Jason is there too, watching her with that classic controlled concern, while also taking time to listen to Spinelli freak out over Max's coma and offering one of his simple but heartfelt pep talks. It's classic Jason, stoic, steady, and emotionally supportive in 5 sentences or less. Christina finds Molly's missing phone at Alex's place and realizes Molly never saw Cody's invitation to meet him at the bar. So, with that little sister push, Molly gets dressed up, heads to Brown Dog, and walks in at exactly the wrong time, just as Britt, tipsy and spinning, kisses Cody on the dance floor. Molly doesn't stay to ask questions. She bolts, heartbroken, and Cody doesn't see her leave. He later checks his phone, sees that his message to Molly was read and ignored, and sits alone looking crushed. Britt, meanwhile, is spiraling toward blackout levels of drunk, and Jason finally steps in, ordering water instead of more booze. She calls him out for judging her show and dares him to kiss her if he doesn't like anyone else doing it, proving that even drunk, Britt's still a chaos queen. Things only escalate from there. Britt winds up in her room above Bobby's, continuing the liquid self-destruction until she takes a serious tumble. Jason hears the noise, bursts into her room, and becomes the reluctant caretaker whether he likes it or not. This is where the walls start cracking. Britt, drunk and vulnerable, finally drops some of her armor and lets Jason see the pain underneath the bravado. Back at Sonny's house earlier, we've got the teen and tween crime club. Gio and Emma rescue dogs from a lab, Rocco gets accidentally roped into the caper, and Rick Lansing shows up furious about all the laws they've shredded. Dante arrives and realizes Gio is once again pulling Rocco toward trouble. Rick tries to spin it like a Good Samaritan mission, and Sonny actually agrees they saved the dogs, but Dante's not buying the glorified version of events. In the end, Rocco bargains, he'll go home with Dante if his dad lets it go. That fragile little compromise says a lot about how close Gio is to burning through all of his chances. On the Carly side of things are no calmer. She heads to GH determined to fix things with Lucas, but he's not exactly rushing to hug it out. He tells her that if she wants a real reconciliation, she has to accept Marco Rios in his life, no trash talk, no vetoes, no campaign to run him off. Carly's worried because Marco's tied to Sidwell and now living at Windermere, which sets off every "this is going to end badly" alarm bell in her head. She may promise to keep her negativity in check, but you know Carly. Those instincts aren't going away. And as if that weren't enough, later at home, Carly hears someone creeping around her house. She arms herself with a fireplace poker ready to take a swing, not realizing this intruder may be Valentin Cassadine himself, possibly on the run after a prison transport escape. So yes, GH fans, Carly might be about to clock an escaped Cassadine felon in her living room. Just another Tuesday. Elsewhere, Jocelyn is going head-to-head with Jack Brennan after he ships S. Vaughn out. She argues he's being unfair, but Brennan reminds her she broke the rules, too. When he warns her she's dangerously close to crossing a line herself, you can feel the foreshadowing. Joss is poking a bear who's not afraid to bite back. Finally, let's talk Michael and Jacinda. After a passionate night together, there's growing speculation that Jacinda might be pregnant. Birth control or not, this is a soap. The odds of a surprise baby go up the minute someone says, "Don't worry, it's handled." Michael already has 3 children, but only Wiley and Amelia are in his daily life, with Daisy far away with Sasha. Adding another kid, this time with a high-profile Port Charles escort, is the kind of scandal that could absolutely blow up his attempt to hold on to Wiley and Amelia, especially if Willow gets cleared in the Drew case and comes for custody. And then we have Brad Cooper. GH's fall preview hinted he'd be back, and now we've got Selina Wu talking about the perfect person to take out Drew. The timeline, the flashbacks, the off-screen absence, it all points to Brad being dragged deeper into Selina's world as either the shooter or the witness who saw everything. Either way, his return could be the key to this entire whodunit. Starting with Laura. She's always been the moral anchor of Port Charles, the one who tries to do the right thing even when it hurts. But now she's staring at hard evidence tying her to Dalton's death. Her instinct isn't to save herself, it's to protect the people she loves. She's terrified of dragging Sonny down, terrified of Ace being used as collateral, and terrified of betraying the trust her constituents placed in her. Sidwell's right about one thing: everyone has a price, and Laura's price is her family. He's weaponizing her love and turning it into a leash. Sidwell, on the other hand, is a textbook power addict. This isn't just about money or peers. It's about control. Having the mayor and Sonny under his thumb gives him influence over law, politics, and the mob all at once. He's built a web where he's at the center, Ezra acting as his messenger. The photos are his leverage, but his real weapon is fear, and he's thrilled to use it. He's that villain who enjoys the psychological torture as much as the payoff. Sonny is in a corner he doesn't like. His instinct is usually to go on offense, track the threat, neutralize it, and remind everyone why he's the man in charge. But now? One wrong move and Laura goes down too. So does he blow up Sidwell and risk exposing everything, or does he play along for now and wait for the perfect moment to strike back? You can almost hear the internal calculus: what's the least bad move that protects Laura, Ace, and his own empire? Curtis is wrestling with guilt. His confession to Jordan is as much about needing to be seen as the man who didn't go through with it as it is about being honest. He wanted Drew dead, that rage and desperation were real. Canceling the wire doesn't erase that impulse. But Curtis is trying to claw his way back to the man he believes himself to be. Jordan's belief in him, that kiss, is oxygen. It's a reminder that he's more than his worst thought. Still, if the truth about the hit ever becomes public, it won't matter that it was cancelled. The intent alone could destroy him. Trina is caught between loyalty and fear. She loves her parents, but the evidence and circumstances around Drew's shooting are gnawing at her. Talking to Kai is her way of saying, "Tell me I'm crazy, tell me they couldn't do this." When Kai says her parents wouldn't let someone else take the blame, that's her lifeline. But she's still choosing to investigate, which means a part of her is bracing for a truth she may not want to hear. Her drive here is about justice, for Drew, for Willow, and for her own peace of mind. Britt is in full self-sabotage mode. She's drinking too much, flirting too hard, kissing Cody in the middle of the bar. That kiss wasn't just about chemistry, it was about proving to herself that she's still desirable, still alive, still capable of being wanted. Seeing Jason watch her, step in, and then later rescue her from her drunken fall pulls at a different side of her, the side that wants to be cared for without having to ask. Britt's bravado is a shield, but underneath it is fear, grief, and a deep sense that she doesn't deserve something stable. Cody is torn between what he wants and how he sees himself. He likes Molly, that much is obvious. He invited her out, he waited for her, and when she didn't show, he tried to move on by dancing with Britt, badly. Then he rejects Britt's kiss emotionally even though he physically participated in the moment. He's trying to be honest that his heart is somewhere else, even if he doesn't know Molly saw everything. His motive is actually kind of pure: he doesn't want to lead Britt on, and he doesn't want to settle for someone who isn't the woman he's really hoping for. Molly is operating out of hurt and insecurity. She walks in, sees Cody kissing Britt, and instantly assumes the worst, no context, no questions asked. That's very human, but it also tells you how fragile she feels right now. She got dressed up, took a risk, and the moment feels like a slap in the face. Her exit without confrontation is about self-protection. If she doesn't ask what happened, she doesn't have to hear an answer that might hurt even more. Michael, meanwhile, is walking a very thin line between strategic and selfish. If Jacinda does turn up pregnant, that baby becomes both a liability and a potential alibi. On one hand, it makes him look reckless, another unplanned child, this time with a well-known escort. That's great ammo for Willow if she's cleared and fights for Wiley and Amelia. On the other hand, if Michael leans into the idea of a real relationship with Jacinda, a baby could be used as proof. Look, see? We're serious. Of course she was with me that night. It's morally messy and legally shady, and Michael knows it. Jacinda's motives are more layered than they might seem. On the surface, she's providing an alibi. But if there's a pregnancy, she suddenly has real power over Michael's future. Did she plan that? Probably not. But if she finds herself pregnant, she'll have to decide whether she wants to use that leverage, protect the baby from that world, or maybe walk away from all of it. Her history and line of work mean she's used to navigating power imbalances, and this would be a big one. Now let's talk Brad and Selina. Selina is not sentimental. If she saw potential in Brad as a mob asset, she'd cultivate it, weaponize it, and expect full obedience. Threats, pressure, implied or explicit danger, that's her language. Brad, on the other hand, is the king of bad decisions, not cold-blooded murder. If he's the shooter, it was likely under duress, panic, and absolute terror. If he showed up and didn't pull the trigger, watching someone else do it, he's now sitting on a secret that could destroy Selina, and possibly get him killed if he talks. Either way, Brad's psychology is fear, shame, and the desperate urge to survive. Carly's motive is control and protection. She wants to protect Lucas, protect her family, protect herself from becoming collateral damage in whatever Sidwell and Marco are tangled up in. But her methods are what always get her in trouble. She pushes, she criticizes, she tries to steer Lucas away from Marco, and that just makes Lucas dig in his heels. When she grabs that fireplace poker at home, it's the same instinct. If she can just act fast enough, hit hard enough, she can keep the threat out. But this time, the threat might be Valentin, who's got his own reasons for needing her help. And finally, Jocelyn. She's bold, emotional, and not afraid to challenge authority, especially when she thinks someone she cares about has been wronged. Going after Brennan over Vaughn's punishment feels righteous to her? But Brennan doesn't see it as passion, he sees it as defiance. When he warns her she's close to crossing a line, it's not just a scolding. It's a promise that if she keeps pushing, he'll push back in ways she may not be prepared for. Now let's talk where this could all be heading, because GH fans, the canvas is primed for some deliciously messy twists. First, the Sidwell blackmail arc. Fans could easily see this turning into a full-blown war for the peers and city control. Sidwell might get what he wants at first. Sonny could pretend to cave, handing over influence on the waterfront to buy time while he works behind the scenes to flip Ezra or find a way to discredit the photos. There's also a strong chance that someone, maybe Jason, maybe Dante, starts digging into how Sidwell got the evidence in the first place. If they can prove he tampered with the scene or manipulated the narrative around Dalton's death, that leverage might crumble. Laura, meanwhile, might be forced to quietly team up with people she normally wouldn't, think Ava, maybe even Valentin, to counter Sidwell's growing power. Fans could see a secret alliance forming, people who hate each other but hate Sidwell more. And don't forget Ace. Every time Sidwell even hints at using that baby as leverage, you're setting up a scenario where Nicholas, Spencer, or even Esme's memory becomes part of the emotional fallout. On the Drew Cain shooting front, Brad's potential involvement is a game changer. If he's the one who fired, or tried to fire, that gun, you can bet we'll eventually get a flashback-heavy episode showing his side of the story. Fans suspect we might see Selina flying him home, handing him the assignment, and then either watching him fail or watching him freeze as someone else steps in and pulls the trigger. Either way, Brad's return could crack this case wide open. Trina and Kai's investigation could intersect with Brad's story in a big way. Maybe they're the ones who track down security footage, financial records, or Selina's travel logs and make the Brad connection before the adults do. Imagine Trina realizing that the man who once helped steal her baby sister from Lucas and Brad's adoption lies is now involved in shooting Drew. It would tie multiple eras of GH history together. Then there's Michael and Jacinda. Fans suspect that a surprise pregnancy story would serve multiple purposes: emotional drama, legal complications, and a way to further blur the line between what's real and what's an alibi. If Jacinda turns up pregnant, Michael could try to spin it as evidence of a genuine relationship. But that would only work for so long. Chase eventually proving Jacinda was with Ezra the night of the shooting would blow the whole lie apart, and now Michael would be exposed not just legally, but also as a guy who tried to hide behind a woman and a baby. Willow, if she's exonerated, could use that against him in court. You lied about an escort, you tried to frame this as a real romance to protect yourself, and now there's an innocent child involved. The judge wouldn't love that. Fans can easily imagine a custody battle where Jacinda's baby becomes part of the argument about what environment Wiley and Amelia should be raised in. Over at Brown Dog Bar and Bobby's, Britt's collapse is another potential turning point. This could be a wake-up call for her, and for Jason. Fans suspect that this drunken spiral is about more than just grief or frustration. There could be lingering medical issues, emotional trauma from her past, or unresolved feelings about her previous death. Jason being the one to scoop her up off the floor and stay with her as she breaks down is classic JaBritt groundwork. It might not be romantic yet, but it's laying down emotional infrastructure. Molly, Cody, and Britt form a messy little triangle that could evolve into something bigger. Molly might pull back, assuming Cody isn't serious, while Cody desperately tries to explain that the woman he really wanted that night was her. If Britt finds out Molly saw the kiss, she might lean into the villain role for a bit, or she might take the surprising high road and step aside. Either way, the seeds of miscommunication have been planted, and they're going to sprout drama. Carly's home invasion is another powder keg waiting to explode. If the intruder truly is Valentin, fans could see a forced alliance forming. Maybe he needs her resources, her connections, or her safe house. Carly holding that poker over his head, literally, would be a perfect way to reintroduce Valentin as someone on the edge. He's dangerous, but he's also desperate, and those are the characters GH loves to throw into morally grey partnerships. Joss and Brennan's conflict has clear future consequences energy. Fans might see Joss eventually becoming a target, not in a murder-y way, but in a professional, academic, or institutional sense. Brennan could decide she's a problem that needs managing. Maybe he blocks opportunities for her, maybe he reports her, maybe he manipulates people around her. Either way, this isn't a man who likes being challenged, and Joss is constitutionally incapable of backing down when she feels someone's being treated unfairly. And don't forget Gio and Emma's dog rescue. It looks cute on the surface, kids saving animals, but Dante's point stands, Gio keeps tugging Rocco toward the wrong side of the line. Fans suspect this may foreshadow a bigger story where Gio gets in serious trouble, and Rocco has to decide whether to lie for him or step away. That choice could define his relationship with Dante, Sonny, and the broader Corinthos clan. In short, everything happening right now feels like the middle chapter of a much longer novel. The pieces are on the board, the alliances are shifting, and when the truth about Drew's shooter, Sidwell's scheme, and Jacinda's possible pregnancy all collide, Port Charles is going to look very different. So, GH fans, here's where we leave things, for now. We've got Laura, the moral center of Port Charles, secretly tethered to a ruthless blackmailer who's waving photos of her and a corpse like a campaign flyer. Sonny, the mob king, is suddenly the one being played, forced to protect the mayor and his family while a snake tries to take over his waterfront. Curtis is haunted by the hit he ordered but didn't complete. Trina is quietly investigating whether her own parents could be tied to the shooting, and Brad Cooper might be on his way back as either the most reluctant hitman ever or the key witness who saw it all. Britt's lying on the floor above Bobby's, drunk and battered, with Jason standing over her like the last man she'll let see her break. Molly's heart has shattered at the sight of Cody and Britt kissing, even though the story she told herself in that moment might not be the truth. Michael is staring down the possibility of a surprise baby with Jacinda, one that could either save him or sink him in court. And somewhere, in the dark corners of Port Charles, Selina Wu is probably sipping tea and watching all of this play out like it's her favorite show. Now it's your turn. Do you think Sidwell is underestimating Sonny and Laura, or is he actually the first villain in a long time who has them truly boxed in? Is Brad really the shooter, or did he freeze and watch someone else pull the trigger? Will Jacinda end up pregnant and change Michael's life yet again, or is this just a scare that exposes how far he's willing to go with his lies? And what about Britt and Jason? Are we looking at the start of a deeper connection, or just a one-night emotional triage session she'll pretend never happened? Will Molly give Cody a chance to explain, or is she done before they even begin? Drop your theories in the comments, because Port Charles is a puzzle right now, and every fan has a piece. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next breakdown when more secrets spill, more alliances crack, and someone finally pays the price for what happened to Drew Cain. Until then, GH fans, keep your alibis straight, your phones charged, and your receipts ready, because in this town, you never know when someone like Jenz Sidwell is going to come knocking with a photo you can't talk your way out of.